So my name's Dan Ellmore and this is my Metro 6R4.
And the first thing I've got to say, I know your story, you saw this car when you were a kid, and I saw the 6R4s in 1986 at Albert Dock and the overnight stop, and it was sort of like, that for me was the car. Tony Pond was the man.
Yep.
But you saw this at an event a couple of years later, didn't you?
Yeah, so I was at the RAC in 86 at Shield Forest, and exactly the same, you know, Tony Pond, English car, underdog, all of that, and the noise. The noise is what did it for me. They're just so unique. In modern terms, the Subaru, the boxer engine on the Subaru, you hear that going down the road and you know what it is. Well, you know what a 6R4 is from that bark, So that's kind of where I started to like the car from. And then I was aged 14 and I went to Birmingham Super Prix in 88 and watched the 6R4 race, and this car was in the race. And then roll on to 2015 and I bought this car and we were restoring it, and I thought, right, I want to find a livery for it, an original livery that it was in. And as I researched it, turned out I'd watched it race at the Super Prix in 88, and so that's why we put it in this livery.
So this is more than a labour of love. It's like finding your true love after seeing a photograph of her years ago.
Kind of like that, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I spent 10 years looking for a car, and when I got one, it turned out to be one that I kind of knew, so it was amazing.
So you found a unique way of keeping your interest in 6R4s bubbling away during those 10 years you were looking.
For sure.
And that's fantastic in itself. If you want to explain about that
Sure.
and promote it as well, because we're happy to promote it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen this car as a teenager, and my dad had competed in rallying and things like that, but I'd not really got into motorsport and what have you. And then in the late 90s, I started working with a friend of mine called Colin Casey, and he owned a 6R4, and once I'd been in it, it was too late then. I knew that was it, that was what I was after. Colin had his car for a while and then sold it, and then said to me, well, I have this website, 6r4.net, I had it when I had the car, I don't really do anything with it. Did you want it? I know you're an enthusiast. So I took that on with a friend of mine, Nicky Linden, and there's now a third guy, David Sims, who's well known in 6R4 circles. He helps us as well, and so the three of us run that site, and yeah, we've been running that since the late 90s. It took me till 2015 to buy a car, but all the way along in there we've gradually got to know all the owners, and event organisers come to us and go, we'd love a 6R4 for this show here, and so we contact the owners and say, if anybody wants to go to that, then they're looking for a car, and things like that. So yeah, it's great to be kind of part of that network. So
some of the manufacturers just made a GRP shell of the whole monocoque. With the 6R4, there's basically the centre section is the steel original, isn't it?
yes, so your A pillars, B's and C's are metal. They had an alloy roof. This one's now got a steel one because it's had a few roofs on it in its history. But the rest of the bodywork is all either fiberglass or Kevlar, even including the boxes on the doors, the sills, the rear wings, bonnet, tailgate, and the front and rear panels as well, like the bumpers around there. So yeah, most of it is Kevlar.
Right, so the next question is mechanically, talk us through a 6R4 under the skin, because it's an amazing piece of kit. All the Group B cars were. They were all unique in their way of transmitting the four-wheel drive to the drive to all four wheels.
Yep.
So what's the 6R4 method?
So you've got a 3-litre V6 in the back, and then you've got a centre diff which then splits the power. They were a standard 65 at the rear and 35 at the front. You can get 55, 45 as well. Some of the works teams decided to run. Works drivers decided to run a 55-45. So, and that was the preferred one for rallycross. So, still got the bulk of the drive from the back. Yeah, I mean, in the front end, under the bonnet there's a giant limited slip diff in the centre and not a lot else. There's a lot of fresh air under there, and yeah, where in a road car you'd expect the rear seats and the boot, there's just this boiling hot huge lump of metal that's making a lot of noise. You know, when in the first couple of years that I had it, I couldn't go to an event without somebody going, is that the one that's for sale? No, that's not for sale. Oh well, how much would it be for sale for? You know, and so you kind of think, well, if you don't want to sell it, you know, is there a point where you'd give in and go, all right, that's ridiculous, but if you'll give me that for it, then I'll sell you it, because I can go buy another one. So, you know,
don't give the number, you'll hurt yourself.
I had that. No. But I had that thought for a while, and then another part of the reason we put this livery on was I went to that event with my parents, and we lost my dad last year.
Yeah.
And it was him that was into motorsport that got us into motorsport, and he was the one who suggested we went to Birmingham Super Prix, and that happened in lockdown. And during lockdown, we'd already decided to do a livery. So it kind of all fitted together.
Please tell me he's had a chance to have a ride in the car.
He's been in it.
Oh, yes.
Yes. He's been in it on the road, and we came back down, when it came back from going out on the road, and he said, I really like that. So I went on a track day, and I took him out in the track day, and the first lap he was going, whoa, that's got some power. It's a bit quicker than my old Mini. He had a Mini Cooper in the 70s. And on the second lap, we were going down the back straight, and he's going, well, go on then, son, get past him. So it only took him a lap, and he was in his 80s, but it took him a lap and he was back in the groove. Right, let's have these guys down the straight and get past them. And so, yeah,
that's a moment you can't buy now. That moment is, you know.
And if I did ever sell this, I won't have that.
Yeah.
Even if I sold this and bought another one, I won't have that.
Yeah, and you know this car, you know everything about it. You wouldn't have to go through all the... Yeah.
You good?
There's some really random history that came up with this car, and I've added to some of it as well. But so this car's second owner was Will Gollop.
Right.
Yeah, European Rallycross champion. I mean, in the
Mr.
90s,
604.
Yeah. I used to watch Rallycross on.
Yeah, me too.
On World of Sport every weekend, or
Will Gollop and his what was it? Twin turbo.
One, twin turbo, yeah. Well, this one wasn't Rallycross, but he owned it. Before that, the first owner that had it in this colours, he let Richard Burns drive it, World Rally Champion. So, you know, that's got some incredible history there. While I've owned it, Harry Toyburn's driven it with me in it, scared the life out of me. It was funny, he was so fast, and then he said, was that all right, or should we go faster? And I was like, nope, that's enough. So Harry's driven it, and Craig Breen, Hyundai World Rally driver, he's driven it. And this is the only one to have been to Buckingham Palace. We did the Queen's 90th birthday. They had one car from every year of the 90 years, British car, and we were there for that. So.
You can't ever sell this car.
And then obviously in the last 12 months, Stig's dad's driven it, and Car SOS Fuzz has driven it, and Tim Shaw's been in it, and I've driven Fuzz, and then Fuzz drove it. So it's got some, you know, it's got some history to it now.